historically, you be a 40-year-old man who has had a lot of spiritual training before you are introduced to the teaching of the Zohar. But things have changed now. But they say that just having this book of mystical wisdom, you don't have to read it. Just having it protects your family and your household, and it is filled with that sort of power. So the Kabbalah, which is often referred to as Kabbalah, but my teacher said Kabbalah, so I'm going to go with that. It has some tenets that we as religious scientists can certainly embrace. And the first and foremost tenet is that there is one. And one cannot be two. And therefore, everything is part of the whole. Everything is part of the one. And the upper essence at one time created the opposite of itself. And the opposite of itself broke into 1,000, 1,000,000, 1,000,000,000 souls. And we represent the soul, the shattered soul. And so our job as humans, our work, is to come to a place where we are able to reconnect with that oversoul, that abiding oneness. And in the past, there have been two ways for us to learn how to reconnect with the one. And the most often used method is through suffering. But now, the second choice is through the light. So as religious scientists, we embrace the second choice of reuniting with the one through the light rather than through suffering. Suffering's always our choice, but I don't know about you all, but it hasn't ever worked very well for me. So, Yehud Berg, a famous rabbi who is a Kabbalist, said, Kabbalah is the way of life and a way of looking at things. One becomes a Kabbalist by bringing a new level of awareness to every act. Every word that flows out of one's mouth and every thought that arises in the mind. Give up every idea of parroting. That's parroting. Start practicing what you truly feel, to be true and justly, to be just. Do not make a show of your faith and beliefs. You do not have to give up your religion, but to give up clinging to the husk of mere ritual and ceremony, to get to the fundamental core of truth underlying all religions, to understand, reach beyond religion. So that's what we teach, isn't it? To reach beyond religion, to reach beyond the ritual into the heart, where we really connect with the one. So another one of their tenets is to understand the true purpose of prayer. And the true purpose of prayer means gaining closeness and connection with the Creator. There's another teaching that the rabbi was asked to speak to his students about the sin of Adam and why the serpent was cursed to eat dust for all of its life. And he replied in this way: why is this a punishment when dust is all a certain serpent needs? And he replied that it was exactly the point. Since all of his needs are met, the serpent would never have reason to truly connect with God. The things we lack in our lives are the very things that awaken our connection with the Creator. Those things that we do not have, that we long for, that we pray about, give us the opportunity to connect with the Creator, the divine. And so, in the depths of suffering, there is that sweetness, that connection, that powerful knowing. And in that place, we push aside all of the old beliefs and the old thoughts of religion and sin and mistakes, and we join our essence, that one, our Creator, in that deep place. And when we make that connection, there is that sweetness. So, to continue with the rabbi's thought, he says, the universe began not with an atom or a subatomic particle, but with the thought of creation, which encompassed a world in which every human being would enjoy total happiness and fulfillment, free from any form of chaos or pain. This is what the Creator's desire and intends for us. But bringing about the realization of the Creator's desire is up to us. The manifestation of complete fulfillment to take place, we must and we need to evolve into our truest, greatest self. In our thoughts and feelings, in our actions, we need to erase negativity and replace darkness with light. It is this purpose that the teachings and the tools of the Kabbalah are given to all humanity. The greatest tool is the Zohar. So we are here, the purpose, according to the Kabbalists, according to our founder, Ernest Holm, according to our teachers in this philosophy, the purpose is to become the best that we can be, to be filled with the essence and the light of the divine in whatever way that works for us. No one can do this for us. We must make our own connection with the universal one, the upper. And that's the power of this teaching, the Kabbalah, and this teaching, religious science. To set aside ritual and doctrine and move into the center of our being where we connect with all that is, the one that we are. So, as I said, Rosh Hashanah begins on Wednesday. And part of the celebration is the blowing of the shofar, that horn that is a goat's horn. And it's blown and sounded 100 times to call us to the recollection and the memory of connecting. also. Rosh Hashanah is the new year, the beginning of the new year. A day of atonement, a day of judgment, a day to look over the last year, because this is the new year, to look over the last year and see where we have not been in our highest and best self. Where we have, and I'm putting this in quotes, where we have sinned, where we have, according to the Aramaic, missed the mark of who and what we are. So during Rosh Hashanah, we are called upon by the horn of the Zophar to take a look at where maybe we have gone astray in being the truth of who we are. So I want to share this story about the shofar. It says, one year the rabbi said to one of his senior disciples, Rabbi Zef, "You will blow the shofar for us this Rosh Hashanah. I want you to study all the Kabbanots, which are the Kabbalistic meditations that pertain to the shofar, so that you should meditate upon them when you do the blowing." Rabbi Zef applied himself to the task with joy and trepidation. Joy over the great privilege that he had been accorded, and trepidation over the immensity of the responsibility. He studied the Kabbalistic writings that discuss the multifaceted significance of the shofar and what its sounds achieved on the various levels of reality and in various chambers of the soul. He also prepared a sheet of paper on which he noted the main points of each Kabbalah, so that he could refer to them when he blew the shofar. Finally, the great moment arrived. It was the morning of Rosh Hashanah, and Rabbi Zef stood on the reading platform at the center of the synagogue amidst the Torah scrolls and surrounded by the worshipers. At his table on the southeast corner of the room stood his master teacher, his face aflame. An awed silence filled the room in anticipation of the climax of the day. The piercing sobs and blast of the shofar. Rabbi Zef reached into his pocket and his heart froze. The paper had disappeared. He distinctly remembered placing it there that morning, but now it was gone. Furiously, he searched his memory for what he had learned, but his distress over the lost notes seemed to have incapacitated his brain. His mind was a total blank. Tears of frustration filled his eyes. He had disappointed his master, who had entrusted him with his most sacred task. Now he must blow the shofar like a simple horn, without any Kabbalah. With a despairing heart, Rabbi Zef blew the litany of sounds required by law and avoided his master's eyes. And he resumed his place. At the conclusion of the day of prayers, the master made his way to the corner where Rabbi Zef sat sobbing under his prayer shawl. Oh, that was the most extraordinary shofar blowing we have ever heard. Today you were magnificent. Rebbe, in the king's palace, said the master, there are many gates and doors leading to many halls and chambers. The palace keepers have great rings holding many keys, each of which opens a different door. But there is one key that fits all the locks. the master key that opens all of the doors. The sacred meditations are keys, each unlocking another door to our souls, each accessing another chamber to the supernatural world. But there is one key that unlocks all doors, that opens us up to the innermost chambers of the divine palace. The master key is a broken heart. The master key is a broken heart. So as we move toward Rosh Hashanah, there are some things that we can do to incorporate that practice within our own. And the first is to recognize, acknowledge, and make a gesture toward correcting your errors of the last year. This is a time for self-judgment, self-evaluation, and making atonement in whatever way is appropriate for you. We know, as religious scientists, that there is no judge on high that's going to zap us for our sins. Rather, we are our own judges. We are the ones that need to be making atonements for our mistakes. And if you can't do that on a personal one-to-one basis, if you can't correct your errors, then it is for us to do good within the community. So, taking a look at this coming year, this new year, and deciding how you, I, we can benefit our community to atone, to make corrections. And certainly our society as a whole has made some errors. And there are places and there are things that we can do to make atonement. And then the third thing is to symbolically throw off those sins, remembering that sins are errors, symbolically releasing and letting go of those errors. And the Jews do it on the first day of Rosh Hashanah by taking pieces of bread and throwing them into a moving water, a river. So we could go down to the Truckee River and throw bread and release and let go of the places that we have made a mistake. And taking a look at where we can correct our behaviors. And then remembering the purpose of prayer. And that is to become in alignment with the One. And to use our sorrows and our pains and our hurts as tools to be closer to the divine. Now, I think I've spoken this before. There are a lot of things in that I have studied in all of the major religions. A lot of things that I don't agree with, the yes buts. But these are the places and the way that we can relate to and connect as religious scientists to follow our philosophy with the Kabbalah, the wisdom of it, which is to acknowledge and recognize that there is only one. That's the truth for us in our philosophy. And that is the truth of the Kabbalah. And remembering that Even in the pain and in the sorrow, there is that deep connection with that one. And going into it is the place of healing. Going into it is the place of connecting with the divine. So rather than resisting pain, than resisting sorrow, just allowing ourselves to be supported and loved and comforted by that one that is. And on this week of the new year, being willing and able to examine our lives in a way that permits us not to berate ourselves in guilt, not to beat ourselves up, not to flagellate and sinner, 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 but to say to ourselves, this is where I have erred. This is the behavior that I'm not happiest with. And taking a step to make restitution, taking a step to make atonement, to throw it all away, to toss the bread into the truckee, and step into the truth of our being. Start fresh from that deep place of spiritual alignment. So, that's what I consider the wisdom of the Kabbalah. I share it with you. And I wish you all a lovely, lovely Rosh Hashanah. Namaste. I would invite the ministers and the practitioners to stand and join me. As we move into prayer treatment, affirmative prayer, whatever you want to call it, whatever resonates with you, whatever way that you connect with the universal one. Join me. And in this place and in this space, I remember my connection with that one, knowing that there cannot be two. And so in this deeper chamber of the truth, in that secret place where I am one with the one, I fearlessly, honestly examine my life. In this sacred, secret place of my connection with the one, I covenant with that holy essence, making an agreement to step into my highest and best self, to be the best expression of that divine one that it is possible for me to be. And in this sacred place, I forgive myself for all the times that my behavior, that my thoughts, that my actions have not been in alignment with my highest. I forgive that. And I covenant once more to allow Spirit to move through me, to be an action through me, to be the love, the hands, the heart of that divine one. And so in deep gratitude for the wisdom of the ages, the truth of who I am, and my harmony with the divine, I just give thanks for it all. And I step out of the need to control it and step into the love of the divine. And so I give thanks for it, and I invite you to join me as we anchor this truth by saying, and so it is.